village guard treks in the snow, and a woman washes her hands and claps her hands to offer a prayer at the shrine. She thanks God and walks down the stone stairs. At the end, the editor compels writer Obata to keep writing while he is worried about deleting one of the characters. In the next room, two friends are enjoying the feast, saying that it was good they visited the inn. The editor decides to go to the hot spring guided by worker Kohachi, and the manager of the inn tells Makoto that she can take a break after serving the dish. The manager then visits the kitchen and tells the chefs that the lunch service is over. The head chef tells his junior Taku to have lunch first. The river flows behind the inn, and writer Obata continues to struggle about his story plot, and the friends continue the feast asking Chino for a hot drink. Meanwhile, Taku finishes his lunch and heads out to ask the manager whether he can go take a nap now. The manager gives her approval, and Taku walks in to see Makoto seeing out one of the guests. The girl offers prayer at another shrine and ties a prayer knot. Chino prepares the hot drink for her guests, and Taku puts on his headphones and watches anime on his phone. The manager Kohachi and Makoto bow to greet the guest leaving, and manager tells Kohachi to bring the shovels since it might snow in the afternoon. Kohachi is worried since it might give him more work and heads out. The manager tells Makoto to check the beer and go take a break. Makoto gets on it immediately and checks on the beer, but something calls her out and she walks out to the back to look at the river to calm her mind. She stares at it for a while and realizes that she has to get back to work. Makoto walks into Kohachi, who offers to help her, and they go in to clean up the table. Kohachi talks about his daughter finding a boyfriend, and she plans to bring him over to meet him. Makoto comforts him, saying he should support his daughter, and they head out with the dishes. But Makoto finds herself standing back near the river. She heads back up to find a confused Kohachi, and they head back to the room and start cleaning the dishes. They feel like they have already cleaned up the place, and as Makoto starts cleaning, Kohachi brings up his daughter and they confirm that they did indeed clean up the table already. As they ponder what is happening, Makoto finds herself back near the river, and she runs back up to find Kohachi explaining the occurrence to the manager. They decide to check up on the room and find that the dishes are still on the table. They decide to tell the manager that something is wrong, and Chino walks out saying that she just finished preparing the drink, but she found herself back in the kitchen. The chefs walk out explaining that they find the same things happening, and the guests walk out as well saying that something weird is going on. Right then, Makoto returns to the river and she hears someone screaming. She runs inside to find Chino freaking out in the kitchen, and Kohachi and the manager walk in as well. The manager calms her down and tells everyone to stop panicking, but the manager starts freaking out saying that they need to take care of their guests. But right then, Makoto returns to the river and she heads out to find the manager telling them to split up to find the guests. Chino joins Makoto, and they find the friends to explain about the time repeating. The friends think that they are joking, but they seem happy since they could eat forever. Chino tells them no to play around and asks for their cooperation. But as they bow down, Makoto returns to the save point again. She finds Kohachi and tells him that they have explained the matter to the guests. This time Chino brings the hot drink for the guests, and Makoto brings some spices from the pantry and joins her again to serve them. As Chino pours them the drink, Makoto places the spices and tells them to go to the pantry if they need anything the next time. The guests are confused to hear this, and Chino answers them that they can take whatever they want since the items get restocked. The guests seem to agree, and Makoto tells them to find her at the save point right outside their room the next time. As they get up to look out, Makoto returns once again, and this time, she calls out for the guests to confirm her position. Right then, Kohachi runs out and asks Makoto to help him. They get Chino to join them as well, and they head upstairs to explain to the long-term guests. It is writer Obata, and they immediately get on their knees to explain about the time loop, but Obata tells them it is a problem, since whatever he writes keeps getting deleted. However, Makoto tells him that it is not a problem since his deadline will never come, since the time keeps repeating after a certain duration. Kohachi and Chino join in as well, and tell Obata to look at the time since they will disappear soon, and they will come back again. As prepared, Makoto returns to her position, and she runs back inside along with Kohachi and Chino to reach the writer's room. Right then they hear someone calling out, and they find the chef on the other side asking them to come over next time to figure out a plan. Obata comes out to greet them and confirms that the time has indeed rewinded. He tells them that since he has been continuously writing, he thought he had gone crazy because of it, but looks like something strange is actually happening right now. They tell Obata to relax for a while and take it easy for a while. Makoto returns, but this time they decide to take a break for a while. Kohachi checks on the internet about the occurrence, but he cannot find anything. At this time, the editor comes out from the bath, and Makoto freaks out on seeing him in a towel. Kohachi walks out to tell him to head inside as the guest tells him that he finds himself at the bath. But the guest walks over to Makoto, and Kohachi comes to stop him, and the time gets looped again. The friends join Kohachi to stop the guy from going out, and Kohachi explains to him that he will return to the bath after a certain time has passed. The man is confused and the time rewinds as Makoto gets back to the river. The guests tell Makoto that they will stop the editor. Makoto thanks them and walks in to stay back with Chino near the entrance. Right then, the girl from the shrine enters and asks them if there is anyone who can help her with her car, but they tell them there is none, and the girl walks back and they follow her out to find that time is looping for her as well. At this time, the manager comes out to tell them to come for the meeting the next time, and as time loops again, they find that it has started snowing. They run to the meeting room saying that they need to meet at the ground floor the next time. The chef explains that the time keeps repeating after 2 minutes has passed, and right now they are on their 12th loop. He also mentions that there is nothing online, and he thinks that the occurrence might be local. The head chef asks them if they should start preparing for dinner, and they tell him to stop as the chef tells them to return there the next time. Makoto curses as the time loops again, and this time she tells the head chef to stop asking questions. They get tired of running over and over. The chef explains that he has figured out the area in which the time loop is occurring, and looking at the snow, he tells them that the starting point of time might actually be moving forward. Right then, the guests come running in and blame them for leaving them out, but the chef calls for their attention since the time is running out. Makoto can't take it anymore, and this time they decide to have the meeting at the entrance, and Kohachi locks out the editor. The chef explains that they should keep moving as they would normally, and that he will try to find the source of this time loop soon. Kohachi feels secure to leave the matter to the chef, and the manager tells them to take care. Right then, the head chef asks the manager what will happen if he decides to take a shit while the time loop occurs. Makoto returns, and this time she finds that writer Obata has gone crazy as he throws his laptop in the river. Chino comes out and joins her as they run towards his room. They enter his room and find him poking holes in the paper screen. Obata tells them that he was just experimenting, and Makoto yells at him that this is too much. The writer apologizes and tells them that they should try breaking stuff up as Chino pokes a hole. Makoto wants to try it as well, and as she goes forward the time loops again. She joins Kohachi, and this time they find the friends arguing over something. They try to break them apart, but they don't seem to stop. Right then, Makoto notices the editor running off, and Kohachi goes after him. As Makoto returns to her save point, she joins Kohachi as they hear the friends going at it again, but this time, the worker from next door comes running covered in blood, as he freaks out, saying that their head chef is deleting their manager. Kohachi tells him that the time loop will save him as the fight between the friends escalates. The manager comes running since the guest who left before calls her that he keeps ending up in an accident. The editor comes running angrily and pushes Kohachi on the floor. Makoto is worried about the total chaos, and right then Teiko peeks out asking her what is happening. Makoto returns once more, and this time she heads inside the room where Teiko is in. He realizes that he just spoke with her outside, and Makoto explains what the chef told them before. Teiko freaks out and Makoto tells him that he shouldn't go out since everyone is panicking. He tells her that he was reading with his headphones on. That is why he did not realize the time loop before. Suddenly Makoto says that she thinks she might be the one who caused the time loop and asks him to find her by the river. Time loops again, and Makoto is holding on to a charm for love. Teiko peeks out the window and asks her what is happening. She tells him that she was making a wish to stop time flowing since she did not want him to leave. However, Teiko thinks that she is crazy to think that she can do that. Makoto gets angry to hear this from him despite her opening up about her feelings for him. Teiko tells her to pray again to stop this, but Makoto refuses since he might leave if the looping stops. Right then, time loops again, and Teiko apologizes to her saying that he wants to leave for France to learn their cuisine. Makoto tells him that he should learn Japanese cuisine first, but Teiko refuses since he doesn't want to. So he asks her to pray again to make the time stop looping, but Makoto stands firm that she wishes for them to stay there forever. Time loops again, and she calls Teiko to take her out on a date. Since he has no other way, Teiko agrees that he should do what she asks since only she can fix the time looping. However, Chino happens to hear this, and Makoto chases after her as the time loops again. Makoto runs to the kitchen to find a scared Chino there. Teiko comes in to ask Chino to keep quiet, but she runs from there as Teiko goes after her. Makoto heads the other way and runs into Kohachi, who asks what she has been doing for the past 3 loops. Right then, Chino arrives there and she tells Kohachi that the one causing the time loop is Makoto. Makoto tells him that it is false, but the guests happen to hear this as well. They come out asking if it is true and they surround her as the chefs come there to catch her, but the time loops right then and Teiko tells her to run out the back. Makoto decides to follow his plan and Teiko joins her as well, and they plan to hide under the bridge, but they get caught by the editor. The time loops again and Takeo tells her to go the other way. They decide to hide but get caught by the neighbor. Takeo beats him and they run away from there, but the time loops again. This time Makoto tells Takeo to get a car while she acts as a decoy. Makoto finds the manager and Kohachi and apologizes to them as Takeo manages to get the car key. She runs away from them, and they soon escape the place. Makoto thinks that they can escape from the loop if they can ride far from there, but she returns to the save point. Takeo brings out the boots and tells her that they should cross the river, and they go to the other side as Kohachi comes and tells them to stop. At this time, the guard comes asking for help since he cannot get out from there. Makoto tells him that he is dreaming and should delete himself to get out, and they run from there as the time loops again. But this time they hear a shot going off, and Takeo crosses the river to check on the guy. Makoto is worried, but she gets startled as writer Obata jumps out his window. Chino comes out and freaks out seeing him on the ground. Kohachi and the others come out as well, and the editor freaks out on seeing his writer in this state. The chef tells him that they will stop the editor in the next loop. Kohachi tells Makoto to pray to stop the time loop the next time, and right then, Takeo comes running and asks Kohachi to call the guard next time and stop him from deleting himself. Time loops again and Makoto runs to stop the writer from jumping, but he tells them that he was only experimenting to write his novel. The editor reaches his room and Takeo comes running with Kohachi as they ask Makoto to stop the time loop the next time. She apologizes to the guests the next time and announces that things will go back to normal. Kohachi comes in asking her to stop the loop and she returns again. The manager approaches her and Makoto apologizes for causing all this trouble. All the other guests come out as well and the guard comes to greet them as well. Makoto proceeds to pray and the guests clap to celebrate the moment. They head inside, but Makoto returns to the save point once again. Makoto is worried and the friends reveal that they too wished for time to stop, and writer Obata also joins in mentioning that he too wished for the same to escape the deadline, but he tells the editor that he got an idea for his novel and runs back. The guard comes again as the time loop continues. Makoto walks outside and meets with Takeo as the chef comes running saying that they have nothing to do with the phenomenon. However, time loops once again as everyone follows the chef as they head up the stone steps. They find the prayer girl waiting there, and the chef reveals that the girl is a time traveler and the problem with her machine is the source of the time loop. They revert back and they have a meeting where the chef explains that they must fix the machine to stop the time repeating. They worry about managing to pull it off, but the chef says that they should do trial runs to try it out. In the next loop, Makoto takes the beer and Takeo carries the blowtorch as they run up the stairs to reach the machine. They pour the beer in and use the blowtorch to start the machine. They bid the girl farewell with some sweets and the machine soon activates and disappears in front of them. The chef confirms that they have crossed the 2-minute mark, and they rejoice as their time starts flowing again. Make sure to subscribe for more videos like this.